Hey guys, Rob here with OCD Coffee. So before we go into today's roast, I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself. I've been roasting coffee for about 3 years now. I've been working with this Yoshan roaster for about a year. And my whole purpose, or the things that besides obviously loving to roast coffee, one of my goals is to turn my passion for coffee roasting into a business. So if while you're watching these videos, you're interested in trying out my coffee, check out the link below to ocdcoffeeclub.com. You can either order one bag of coffee if you want to just try the roast that I'm doing. Today is actually a Colombia. I'm going to show you guys the methodology behind this, as well as other ones. I'll always be changing, but this right now in my my cycle, I've got a Nicaragua, I've got a Ethiopian Yirgacheffe, and I've got also a Kenyan coffee as well as this Colombia. So if you're interested and you're interested in purchasing some coffee from me, I do ship anywhere within the United States besides Alaska and Hawaii. Sorry, I don't ship outside of that circle as of yet. Okay, so here's what we're doing today. I just roasted a Colombia. I've been working on this recipe via Artisan, and so I want to share with you that process. But also, what I find that a lot of roasters struggle with is being able to roast back to back to back. So what I'm going to show you today, I just pulled this one. I'm going to show you my Artisan roast, where you'll see my background of my Artisan, which was my roast from previous days of roasting this exact same bean. And then you'll also see the one I just did on top, and I'm going to cut to this right now, actually. So I'm using my Zoom as my I did this last time and it seemed to work all right, as kind of my studio here. So now what you're looking at is my previous roast, and actually I forgot to turn that off, so it should shorten this a little bit and look a little bit better for you. So this was the previous roast that I just did. Okay, you could kind of see it in the background. And then you could see the darker blue is the roast that I just completed. You could see that the lines were about exact in terms of the roasting curve. And that's what we want to see. And notice this, if you read Scott Rao's book, which I highly recommend, you'll notice that my rate of rise, my ROR, is fairly constant. There was a little blip right here. And that might be just because it was the first roast I did today. It might be something else, but I'll see if I can adjust for it today. And right down here at the bottom, you'll see where my presets were at 400 degrees with a 60. I have a 65 RPM in my drum, and then my gas was set to 4 kPa. And I'll show you that right here. Actually, I'll cut from there to where I'm going to be able to show you as I go. I'm going to show you what the kPAs are. So right now my kPa is set at 1.5. My temperature is basically preset at 436. This is the bean temp, right? That's the internal temperature. Don't pay as much attention to the hot air temp. That's not as big of a deal. And then I got my timer, and here's my air speed, or my hot air adjustment, right? So that's my venting. So I've got that set to 40. Now your roaster probably would be different, but what you need to do is you need to create your presets so you know exactly what you're doing. So this way, every time you hit that roast and you go after it, you're doing the same exact thing, okay? And that's really important. So this is the roast that I just did. Came out pretty well. I'm doing a very, very low development, right? I'm not going past basically like 20% development. Let me double check what I did here with my, and I'll share the screen again. I'll just keep sharing screen so you guys can understand what I'm doing here. You'll see my development is up here. So I was at 19.7% development. And that's once I hit first crack until first crack is complete. That's what development represents, okay? And then I dropped almost immediately after that. So I stopped at 19% development, and then I dropped basically immediately later. Okay, so here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna reset this. I'm gonna keep the same background that I had last time because that was actually a really good roasting recipe. I've already got my beans already preset. So now you know what you're seeing here. I'm gonna just turn this on and you'll see what my current, bean temp is, or my current internal temperature of the roaster. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get set up. Now I don't hit start here just yet because I've noticed with my roaster that if I hit start early, it actually tells me that I've charged the beans, and even if I haven't. So, and you can't record what your presets are until you hit start. So here's my methodology, and I'll show you as we go. So I'm gonna cut back here for you, and hopefully this is helpful. I'm sorry that I don't have a better setup to teach you guys, but what I do. So I'm gonna show you from here because this will give you a good idea. Okay, so I've got my beans all weighed out. I've got 3.6 pounds. My goal is to yield 3 pounds total. And I'm going to drop these in at 400 degrees. So what that means is that I have to just watch this temperature here for when it drops down to 4. So I'm gonna cut my heat. Actually, that's a lie. I'm gonna bring my KPA up to 4 now, because KPA is what I want my charge to be. Like when I turn the gas back on, I want it to be at 4 kPa, so I gotta set that prior rather than trying to adjust at the last second. So now I'm gonna cut the heat, and now I'm gonna wait for my temperature to drop down to 420. And I'll bring you over to the share screen so you can kind of see what's happening here, because I can do this with you. So right now you see the temp is right here in that corner, dropping down from 436, 434, right? When it hits 420, I'm gonna hit start, and then I'm going to hit my presets. What I'm starting with, which is a 40 air and a 4 kPa. I'm just about there, and I'll do it now. I'll hit start. I'm gonna hit 4 kPa, and then 40 on my air, and now you guys know what that looks like. And then I'm gonna bring you back here with me. At 410, I usually drop the beans into the hopper here. And then I'm gonna wait, and I'm gonna hit the heat button and the timer at the same exact time as I drop the beans. So, boom. And then I go over, and I'm just gonna hit charge. Boom, and you'll see, I'll share my screen with you, so you can watch this happen in real time. So it says that my charge on the top left, you see my charge was 398.2, and that's fairly accurate, probably was, or maybe it was exactly 4. But for what we're doing here, it's not that big of a deal. So this time, while this is happening, this is where you have the most time to just do anything and just chit chat, okay? So what you're gonna fill this time with is getting ready for the next roast. And so I'm gonna show you what we're gonna do. So I've got my other Columbia here. I know I'm like somewhat off camera a bit, but hopefully my mic is picking this up fairly well. And I'll shoot this over here. You can see that my official job is actually a health coach and a personal trainer. So that's why you're seeing me inside of a gym and where I roast. So I'm gonna get ready for this next roast. I'm planning on doing 9 pounds total. So I just did 3 pounds of 3 pounds was my first yield. This will be my second yield, and then this is going to be my third yield. And if I want 3 pounds yield, I need exactly 3.6 pounds here. Now, when I say 3 pounds yield, I never really want exactly 3. I want like 3.15 would be perfect, because that means I'll get 3 12-ounce bags. Now, it depends on where you are in the world. Some people do like, they do like 1 kilo bags, but in the US, we do 16 ounces or 12 ounces is generally what we got. So now, I'll show you what I'm doing here, but now I've got this set. So this is gonna sit off to the side, ready to go for my next roast. So that's one thing you're just gonna take care of. Now, the first thing I'll show you is I'm gonna bring you in, and I'm gonna show you what I'm looking at here on my roaster, okay? So I'm watching this. This is the next thing that I'm concerned about, okay? Now, everybody talks about, everybody talks about your dry end, and that's important to kind of know when you're hitting dry end or that you're in dry end. But dry end is not all that important when I'm roasting. It's more about paying attention to this number right here, because this is for the recipe that I've now created for myself. I am going to make an adjustment at 300 degrees, and I've preset that adjustment to a 3.6. So as you can see right now, I'm at a 4 kPa, and at 300 degrees, I'm going to drop to 3.6 kPa. And I'm going to show you here in my share screen, I'm going to show you here what I mean. So as you see this bar moving, this 3.6 now is representative of around where I hit 300 degrees, and that's at 4 minutes and maybe 20, or actually almost 5 minutes. Right here, around 8 minutes is when I hit dry end. I oftentimes don't even pay attention to dry end. Sometimes I forget about it, and then I look and I'm like, I'm all the way into like 10 minutes into the roast or something, right before first crack, and I noticed, oh, I haven't recorded dry end yet. Not a big deal. It's not the end of the world, because unless I'm roasting blind, meaning I'm not using Artisan or Cropster, then it's a lot less likely that I'm gonna mess up and not pay attention. Dry end is really good to know if you're hitting it at the same time as the last time, so I'm hoping that my dry end is around the same time. Your dry end, if you hold on to your beans for a long period of time, your dry end might start to change, meaning your beans are losing moisture, and if your beans are losing moisture, they're gonna dry out quicker. So right now I'm at 288, and I'm just gonna let you know, you can see what I'm doing here. I'm going to adjust this gas to a 3.6 at 300 degrees, and I'll give you that camera so you can see it. Okay, so I'm watching this clock, and here is my adjustment. So I'm getting ready to drop it to a 3.6 in just another second here. And I'm gonna show you how I record it too. So there's my 3.6, I'm right at 300. Because it's a knob, and here's how I record it. I just go over, boom, I hit 3.6, so it's around the same time. And you can see my rate of rise is dropping. If I didn't lower my heat, my rate of rise is gonna drop eventually, because it can't just keep exponentially getting higher. But what I'm looking for is I'm looking for the same rate of rise curve or drop that I had last time based on my last numbers, okay? So you don't really see anything happening here. I think you can actually see where you can see my roaster on the video as well. I'm at 315 is my temperature, my bean temp, which is great. If you're not drinking coffee while you're roasting coffee, you're doing it wrong, I just want to tell you. That was me taking a sip. So I'm waiting now to hit 325, and at 325, I'm gonna drop to 3 kPa. So here we come, we're coming up on it. Oftentimes the Artisan, just FYI, will be a couple of degrees behind. So I'm gonna start dropping now to 3 kPa, boom. I'm gonna swap it down here, bam. So I'm just recording, and as you notice, I'm staying fairly close to my original line, my background line that I'm looking for. That was a previous roast that I had developed. I've done it a few times and kind of locked it in. And now I hit that straight ROR, which is what, according to Scott Rao, is how you kind of make sure that you don't have like this roasty flavor in your coffee that's like, makes it taste like kind of, or baked kind of flavor. Those are the two flavors. Like when you like the difference between having a coffee that tastes roasted means that it tastes like, you know, like charred a little bit, right? And then baked means that it tastes a little bit like, that it tastes like kind of just like generic coffee. It doesn't really have any flavor profiles, right? It's just all of the goodness, all of the little like flavors that you might pick up, like blueberry and jasmine and all that stuff, has been kind of baked out of it, so you don't really get anything out of it. So having a coffee that's been baked and over roasted generally is not a good thing. So at 350, that's the next marker I'm looking for, and I'm coming up on it, and I'm gonna cut out of here. So you can see I'm about 350 coming up, so I'm gonna drop my next one down to a 2.2. That's my goal, boom, I'm there. 2-2. Yep, all right, close enough. And now, again, I'll share my screen with you. Hopefully, again, guys, I need you to make sure that please let me know if this is helpful. Again, if you want to, I'm going to post this today and I'll have some of this coffee. I'm actually doing holiday roasts for my clients here in town. So I have a bunch of coffee to roast this week. So if you're interested in getting any holiday roasts for your friends or your clients, again, if you live in the U.S., if you live in LA, hit me up and you can come by my place and I'll show you the roaster and you can buy a bag and come see my setup. Because roasting is a very passion-driven hobby, so people kind of geek out about it, as do I, which is cool. So I'm gonna take you through this full roast, guys, and as you look, like my lines look pretty good. My next transition is gonna be at a 1.6, and I'm dropping down to a 1.2. So at 365 pounds, or sorry, 365 degrees, I'm dropping to a 1.2. I'm a little late on it, not too late. I'm fine. Hopefully it doesn't mess up my curve. I just got an outlier crack. See, I missed the dry end. So I know that I'm in dry end. I can see it visually if I look through the window. And what you could do is you can kind of right click here and then move it over. Not a big deal, not a big deal. There was an outlier first crack. And right after first crack, generally I'm going to drop increase my air to a 50 from a 40, okay? My lines look good. I haven't had a flip, which is when you have that like uptick. And I obviously have not had a crash. And if I get any of those, again, it's not the end of the world, but it just doesn't mean that you've nailed your roast, right? It's still good. Coffee's good. So I'm going to stop the share right here for a second, and I'm going to bring you into what I'm doing. There's first crack. So now I got to record, go back here. Still a little bit outlier. I don't record first crack until, yeah, that's first crack there. Okay, so now, because I hit first crack, and it's starting to go, I'm going to up my air to 50, which is what I just did. And so I just adjusted my airflow here to 50. And you can hear it now, it's kicking in. So now I have to take you back I have to share my screen again because this is really important, guys. This is the stuff that we have to pay attention to. So the line still looks great. It's still real good, kind of like downward ROR, no major drop-offs, no major blips in the heat. The airflow, that's the recording of the airflow that you can see it right there. And now this is what we're watching up at the top of the screen. We are watching the development, okay? So I'm at 7.7, I'm at 8. Developmental progress. And now, this is something I learned again from Scott Rao's book. You don't even have to read his fucking book. You could just, watch my video. At 12% development, what he recommends is cutting your heat in half. Now, my heat doesn't necessarily do well when I cut it in half. So instead of going from a 1.2 to a 6, I'm going to go to an 8. So I'm coming up on 12. And I'm going to drop to an 8 right here, right there at 12. I'm going to drop to an 8. Boom. Perfect. Nailed it. Record it, right? So you can't control your roaster. You cannot control your roaster with your computer, but you just make sure that you just make notes. It's like just checking off the box. So this way you're following it properly. And I'm pretty in line with my previous roast, so I'm happy about this. My first crack is coming up. I'm at 15%. I'm going to drop it again to a 0.5. Drop again. There we go. And now I'm done with first crack, and actually I'm going to drop. And that's it. Yep. And let's see, I'm going to take you off of here so you can see what I'm doing here. Okay. So I just dropped, all my beans are coming out, And this is what's important about that next phase, okay? So now I've got this all happening. I'm gonna close the door again. I'm gonna bring my heat up to a 4 kPa. It dropped down. When I open this gate, I gotta reset my timer. When I open this gate to drop my beans, my bean temp, or my internal temp, dropped from 400 to 350. Now it's at 360, it's on the rise. So what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna cut the heat at like 410, and then I'm gonna drop the beans in. It's gonna keep ticking up for a second, and then it's gonna drop down very quickly, and then I'm gonna restart this Artisan, and I'll show you how to do that really fast. Let me share my screen here, because this is really important. So this is done. I'm just gonna hit stop. I dropped it at 18% development. That's totally good. The last one was at 19. I'm gonna hit reset. I'm gonna turn this on. You're gonna see everything starting to come up. I'm at 395 here. I'm getting close to what my next process is. And this will show you, oh, actually, hold on a second. I'm gonna turn this off for a sec. I forgot to write down which roast I'm doing. I've got my roast set in preset here. And actually, I don't know if I did that on the last one. I think I forgot to on the last one for you guys. But this is generally what you do, so you know. Basically, I'm recording my roasts as I go. So you'll see it's listed there at the top. I'm going to turn this on. Okay. I'm at 417. So I'm going to cut the heat. Okay. I'll bring you into my, I'll stop sharing screen. I'll bring you to my regular thing so you can see what I'm doing here. Okay. I'm at 420. I'm going to do like what I showed you last time. At 420, I'm going to turn on my Artisan. I'm going to go 4 on the air and 4 on the heat. I'm at 410 right now, dropping. I'm going to put my green beans in there. This is closed. Make sure this fucker is closed, because if you don't, you're going to accidentally dump all your beans. I'm at 400. I drop. I charge. And I'm at 398 on the charge, which is good. And I'll share the screen with you really fast so you can see that. See again, I've started. I'm at 398 on the charge. And this is how you do it. This is how quickly you could do a turnaround so you don't waste time on your roasts. Got it? So I'll stop the share here. So I don't need to take you through this, because this is literally where we started last time. If you have any questions about that process, we're waiting for that turnaround on my, I didn't really pay it or mention it, but actually I'll do that really fast. You should know this. What you're looking for, and if you might have noticed in the last one, what you're looking for is you always want to make sure your turning point is around the same, which means that your heat, like the way in which the heat is applied to your roaster should be equal, right? And it should always be consistent. So just pay attention to that. And my turning point is probably going to be around 1:46. I'll keep an eye on it as I just kind of wrap up here for you. So that's it. That's it in a nutshell. If you guys have questions about that, feel free to hit me up. Guys, a lot of people ask me to help them set their roaster up, help them troubleshoot their issues. Unfortunately, I don't really have that much time to do that with all the stuff that I've got, my own business, I've got my family as well. If you do want me to do it and you are in dire straits, I can do it, but it would be like on a consulting thing where I'd obviously have to charge for that. But if that's something you really need and your business isn't, like, you just got to get up and running, then I'm happy to have that conversation. Just reach out to me. And then lastly, I'll say, let's see. Oh, exactly 1:46 was the turnaround time. So that's good. Everything's operating properly. These beans are cooling off nicely. And the last thing I'll say is that if you are interested in purchasing some coffee, I sell coffee that I either ship or you can pick up at my place in Los Angeles. Just hit me up. I'm happy to do that. The link for that is in the bio, or sorry, just right in the video. It's in my normal bio, but I'll put it in the link for this video as well. Okay, guys, that's it. Have a good one. I'll talk to you guys later. Yeah, hope you enjoy your roasting. Bye, guys.